As soon as I walked in, I
He
was
was
the
like,
first person
"You
to walk
come."
into this room. He said, "You're going to be my first podcast today." I was like, "Okay, this is my very first podcast ever."
Good guy.
And now I've
Such a
done like
good
4
guy.
since then. Now I got this. I got the hang of it.
You got it. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is day 2 of the FX Summit, and we've got someone very special here. I've seen her face all over Instagram, everywhere in the Forex space. I'm so excited to now interview you, speak to you, get a little insight into things.
Oh, I'm excited to be here.
So please,
we are excited to have you here. So,
yes,
Thank you guys.
yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So please introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Victoria. I go by Tori Trades on social media. I'm still fairly new to like the community itself.
Really?
So I've been trading for 8 years. So I almost consider myself a veteran, even though I'm at the level I'm at. It's not, the level of where like Anthony or Q, these guys are at, but everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
But as far as the community goes, I'm still fairly new to this. Like my social media popped off maybe only in like November of last year. I didn't follow many traders prior to, like my entire social media was geared towards cycling previously.
Cycling?
Cycling, yeah. So I used to be an athlete.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was a sponsored athlete for fixed gear cycling, and they would send me to like Milan and LA and Florida and Texas, and I'd go do these races. And so my social media was geared solely towards just cycling. But I've been trading for 8 years. So if you go back far enough in my Instagram, you'll see like, bikes. But then you'll see some charts. And you're like, oh, okay, so she's doing some stuff in there. But I've been doing this for 8 years, but as far as the social media part goes, this is still fairly new. So I've been a little bit more vulnerable, finally decided to like rip the Band-Aid off and talk about, my trading and talk about money and how much I make, which money's a very uncomfortable thing to talk about on social media.
Yeah,
but I finally was like, we're going to do it. So as far as the social media aspect goes, I'm still new to this.
Yeah, perfect. I like the fact that you split the social media results and the trading results.
Yeah.
And your trading path.
Yes.
Because most of the time, I know because my path is long, more or less like yours. I've been trading since 2011. So,
Okay.
And I'm in social media like Instagram just since 4 years.
Okay,
I'm a little
fair.
bit a boomer. I know. They used to call me like this. But I really like the fact that you're able to split this, because most of the time people, beginner and traders, they used to confuse the reality behind a social media account.
Very much
Which
so.
is one of the challenge of the trading industries in my opinion, right now. One of the problems in the trading industries. How do you feel, for example, that this one can explain? What do you think about the fact that people are such confused about the trading industries and the social media reflects?
Oh, absolutely. I would say when I made this decision to like be vulnerable about my trading and my strategy and how much money I made, I already understood that there was a stigma towards trading. So I knew everyone thought trading was a scam, and I knew everyone thought that it was like, if you're trading and you're successful, you have Lambos and Rolexes and you live in a mansion. So I already had that notion, and I already knew coming into it. So I had to make sure that I was very, very transparent. And that's what made everything easy. So now I've got no persona that I have to live up to.
Yeah.
I get to just share my trade, share my journey. Now, it's still never fun, like talking about losses, and especially so after now that I have so many people like sitting here watching all of my trades.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to it for sure. Like I've gone through these phases of like when I first started talking about my strategy, and I got some pushback, and people were telling me that like trend lines are trash, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I've been doing this for 8 years. I cannot let social media tell me how to trade.
Yeah,
So
and they do that a lot. They do that.
absolutely
They
do.
chime into your strategy.
Yes.
Hey, let me do me.
All right,
Let me
please,
do
God,
me.
let me just do me.
Do you know why? Because for many, being profitable means 10 trades, 10 profits.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And,
It's not real.
Yeah.
Reality, is it?
But it's like you can't win.
You never can.
You
Not on social
you could
media.
post and say that you could post every single trade that you've ever made and show the Lambos and the Rolexes that you have, and people are still gonna hate on you or call you a scammer. Or vice versa, you could post your trades and like me, and they're not huge, they're not very big. My best trading month was like a 20K month. Is last month. I'm freaking excited about it. But like, and still people are like, that's nothing. You're not a real trader, or that's not real. And I'm like, guys, if I'm gonna post fake trades, don't you think I'd be doing a little bit more than 20K? So like, you can't win in the industry, and I already realized that getting into it, so it helped.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when did you actually decide to come into the social media space? What made you want to swap from bikes to trading on your social media?
So I have always had this knack to be like an influencer or just to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
When I was in elementary school, there was like the news crew in elementary school. So I would talk about, I'd be right here and I'd be like, hi guys, welcome to Tynes Elementary. Today for lunch, we're having blah, blah, blah. So in elementary school, I did that and I've been doing it for a while. So I knew that I had a talent for it and it's always been a passion of mine. So when I was doing cycling and racing, I knew that I wanted to have a social media presence within it. But there was just for the longest time, I think what changed is that for the longest time, it was a very uncomfortable thing to talk about money.
Yeah.
People would immediately just be like, either you're bragging or, you know, or hate on you, one of the two. So it was just very uncomfortable. But finally, I could tell that there was like a pivot in social media to where people now started talking about how much money they were making. And that's what made it easier. So that's why I started. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to talk about how much money I make since it's not such a strange thing to talk about anymore.
Okay, interesting. So let's talk about a little bit more about your strategy.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
So what do you look for? What's your bread and butter?
Trend lines.
Trend lines.
Trend lines and support and resistance. Now, what's cool is I did a podcast earlier, and it's almost like I took the red pill. I somehow described my entire strategy without having to show a single chart or trade. It was the coolest. I'm going to try to replicate this.
Yeah, we know what the is.
But we'll see. So essentially, I'm trading trend lines and support and resistance. So I am waiting for a price to break out of a trend line. And it's fairly dynamic, so and it may be unconventional. It is what it is, and I'm coming to find this as I put my strategy out there. Some people are like, "Oh, that's strange. I've never done that. I think that's maybe something you shouldn't do." And I'm like, "Listen, no, guys, I've got a handle on it. This is my thing, but I'm just going to share it to you guys, and that's all I want to do is just share my experience." So when trend lines get crossed, I like to enter. I'm a swing trader. I'm trading futures. I trade in the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour daily time frames for the most part.
So wide then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
so I used to do it.
Oh, okay. Whoops, I just hit my headphones there. So I will enter whenever the price breaks out of a trend, and I give my trend lines terms. So I'll call them something. So I change the terminology on them. So when a trend line gets broken, I call it my action line. So that's when I need to take action. I need to place a trade. And then the opposing trend line is the one that keeps me safe, essentially. So that's what my risk is.
Yeah.
So as long as the price travels along the safety line, I'm going to stay in this trade. And now each risk is different. So if the price is very close to one of my trend lines, when it breaks out, if it's close to this is where it might get tricky, and you might have to visualize this. If it's close to the opposing trend line, then it is a low risk trade.
Yes.
But if the price breaks out of a trend and the opposing trend line is far away, I know this is a higher risk trade. I'm either going to lower my contract size, or maybe I'm going to pass up on the trade.
Yes.
But essentially that is the gist of my entries. My exits will be looking for areas of either support and resistance on whichever time frame that makes sense. But for the most part, I like to stay in the trade for as long as it will follow the trend.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
yes.
the trend is your friend.
Yeah, I feel that is a mix between a couple of strategy, but this comes with experience. For example, I don't know, I see that there's channeling, trend following, moving average strategies. Yes, I recognize something like this.
Yeah, okay,
so,
good.
And this comes after experience, of course, after years and years.
Oh,
Because, when you're able to build your own strategy, I mean, it is because you are able to match a lot of strategy together and make your own approach the best strategy for your trade.
Exactly.
For your trade.
And to tell on myself though, so my uncle is the one that taught me how to trade,
was
and
just about to ask that.
he did exactly that. So he's been trading for almost 30 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're
And
very
he
lucky.
did. Oh my God, I know. I know that I'm privileged and grateful that I had a mentor, a family member, to sit
That's
down and
really
teach
important.
me everything that he knew. But so he did exactly what you're saying. He took hundreds of strategies. He's gone through every single trial and error that he possibly could, and he pinpointed this, changed the terminology, told me, how to say that I'm a loser in like a healthy way. So he taught me everything, but essentially exactly what you said. Taking a bunch of different strategies and
Yes.
curating your own.
Yes. I used to trade with Elliott waves, for example. I love Joe Ross theory. I base my study and the best on those strategies.
Okay.
Elliott waves, Joe Ross, day trading,
Yeah.
spread trading, and down theory. A lot of strategy based on moving average and trend lines too,
Okay.
and channeling most of the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I match Elliott waves, Joe Ross bars, and channeling together. That's
Okay.
how I trade. That's why I use multiple time frame, but starting from wider time frame.
I see.
So weekly, monthly, and then daily. hourly and 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Depends
fair.
about the
Okay.
stage. Yes.
Okay.
But most of the time, I work with fundamentals.
Okay, got it.
That's what I prefer actually, because I start from this. And what do you think about fundamentals in trading?
I don't incorporate it into my trading whatsoever.
No.
So purely, I'm just looking at.
Me too.
Really?
Me too. Yeah.
That was one of the things that my uncle taught me, and I think it more so attributed to the stock market. That's where I got most of my experience. Most of my, I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I think like 5 of it was with the stock market. And he was telling me that his example was like, okay, let's say if iPhone comes out with a new phone, or they announce their earnings, like people will give themselves a bias because they attach themselves so much so to this news that's coming out, whatever it may be, that they will not allow the trade. They won't let it.
Yeah,
they'll
because normally we receive the news from the third level.
Okay,
That's
exactly.
the problem.
Yes.
That's the confusion that many traders that try to trade fundamentals. Most of the time they find this confusion, because if you trade the expectation of the news, you're going probably in trouble. So
Yeah.
that's the problem.
But at least, and being able to understand that if you're wrong, or if the news is wrong, to be okay with it. So that's where it kind of eliminates the bias. So when you trade purely on like price action or technical analysis, it kind of takes that away. So you don't put so much weight on, this person said this, it has to go, it has to do this, it has to go up. You're like, no, this is price action. If it's going to work, it's going to work. If it's not, it's
Right.
not.
Yes, you're right. I'm curious to know what was your bullish and bearish moment in your life.
Ooh. Now, trading specifically?
No, generally speaking. Or
Okay.
if you want to relate something with your business, it's okay.
I would say we're at a pretty high point like this weekend. This has been pretty wild. Like, I'm at a very cool part of my career, my trading. Yesterday I said it was the best day of my life, and I think we're still there. Like, this is incredibly cool. I get to talk to people about trading for like hours out of the day. It's just the freaking coolest thing. I've been doing this for 8 years, so like, yeah, I could talk about it forever. We could be here all night. But I would say like the growth of my social media, like how encouraging everyone is. The fact that people know who I am is the freaking coolest thing ever. That's just ridiculously cool. The fact that you guys are interested to hear what I have to say is so cool. So we're absolutely at a high point for sure. The low point, I would say, was when the moment that I wanted to give up on trading, because I just knew I could not work a 9 to 5. But I finally was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go get a marketing job. I sent out resumes. I bought a bunch of blazers. I'm like, okay, going to work a corporate job. Here we go. And then I did my interview, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So it was only up from there for sure. So that was like a high point and a low point. We're at the high point right now for sure. We're at like the peak. I hope we continue. Actually, we're not at the peak. We're not at the high. There's more to come.
Listen, this is a beautiful.
One question I've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a very male-driven
it is.
industry.
It is.
What is it like to come through and break through into a new sector of, motivating women? We want to see more women come into our space.
Right.
I think they're better traders.
I think I might have to agree with you on that one.
I think they are better
I feel like
traders.
if we did some stats, if we got a guy looking up some stats real quick, if we could have you, hey sir, can you look up some stats here? The win rate of women, what is it in comparison to the win rate of men? Like, now obviously it's a smaller, like, but you gotta like ratio it out. I bet you. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I got a feeling they're probably
we
pretty
should
high.
have a trading competition.
Absolutely.
Between male,
Now, how do we make it
female.
fair? It's got to be like, okay, it's got to be like swing traders.
Yeah. Oh,
Now
yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing some kind of trading competition
They
here,
are,
but
they are.
I think you have to place 8 trades in 10 minutes. I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah. Wait, 8 trades in 10 minutes.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like that was the
Yeah.
Something of that nature?
This is because many confuse the fact that it's not betting or game. It's
like I wouldn't.
finance,
I'm not
guys.
gonna enter the contest because I
It's
know that I'm not
business.
gonna. I'm not gonna
It's
excel.
finance. I don't understand how it's possible to convert something like this in a game. This is something I think really personal.
Oh,
Trust
agreed.
me.
Absolutely. Trust me, I know.
Because I don't understand.
Well, and the people outside of the trading world, they immediately assume that you are not serious and that you gamble. And I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
I have a strategy and a success rate and a win percentage and a win ratio, and like there are numbers and strategies to this. I'm not just throwing my money. But back to your question, getting women into this. It was the hardest freaking thing.
Yeah.
I've gone through so many speed bumps, and like, so I had to rip it off like a Band-Aid. That was like, I feel like that's the advice I got to give to women. They just got to go all in, because there's no like trying to just feel it out, see what it's like, because there's a lot of toxicity in the community, but obviously I know that doesn't apply to everyone. There's exceptions, but a lot of the community, and no one that showed up to an event like this is toxic or part of the just not part of the community you want in your space. But all the people behind the screen that there's a lot of toxicity within it. So I just say ripping it off like a Band-Aid. You got to have the confidence to know what you're doing. That helps so much so because everyone assumes that you don't know what you're doing, that you're not actually making money trading. So you've got to get past that and not listen to the noise and just immerse yourself in it. I'm still learning what that looks like. So my advice for women is I'll let you guys know when I get there. It's still really hard.
Absolutely, yes.
But not just that, just social media in general paints a picture, and you need to not skip yourself to that place. You know, you see the Lambos, you see the lifestyle, whatever, and you start to get a bit depressed.
Oh, fair. Absolutely. You kidding me? Yeah.
You gotta, you know, you're at this level, stay at this level, you'll slowly build up.
Yes, yeah. And understanding that everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I've been trading for probably the same amount of time as some of these speakers, and like I'm at a different level. I've got, you know, an incredible amount of confidence in my strategy and what I do, but we're at just different levels. Same amount of time, same amount of years trading, but like they're making 100,000 in a month and I'm making 20, or you know, could be vice versa, different. But everyone's journey is going to be different.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Really
I feel like we should
appreciate
do a round 2. We need more time.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
do
Cool,
it.
cool.
do it.
We'll
Okay.
do a round 2 for sure.
All right, thank
But thank
you.
you guys for having me on. This was awesome.
It's been a pleasure.